Coming to you from beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona, this is the Drinking Horn Meadcast. Join us as we take a deeper dive into mead and mead culture.
On the road again.
Like a band of gypsies, we roll down the highway.
On the road again.
No, you're supposed to say like the best of friends.
Oh, I don't know that song.
Oh, what? You don't know Willie Nelson?
I just know On the Road Again.
You didn't smoke enough weed growing up.
Growing up? Like, no, I did not.
As a kid?
As like a 7-year-old?
As a child?
No. No, I did not.
Oh, you should have grown up in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque. Cool, we are on the road again.
Field trip day!
Dun, 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 dun.
Our version of a field trip is going down wearing 2 layers of long sleeved clothing in 100-degree weather and getting stung by bugs.
Oh, we're gonna get stung today?
I hope not.
I'm leaning both ways on that because recently there's an article that came out that said that bee stings or bee venom, getting stung basically a couple of times, could help protect you against COVID-19.
Which I find awesome. I like the, there's obviously more evidence needed before it's something that we can totally jump behind 100%. But it's very much a really, really cool thing that they're starting to find. So what was it? It was 4,000 or 5,000 beekeepers in Wuhan. Is that where the study was originated?
In the province around, it started with an H, I forget what it was, but around Wuhan, a couple thousand beekeepers were surveyed, and 0 of them had ever contracted or had symptoms of COVID, and they're right in the mix of it.
Right in the thicket.
Yeah, and so and then they went out and they talked to a couple of apitherapy places. What's apitherapy?
It is when you go and intentionally have bees sting you for their medical properties. Being usually it's arthritis and stuff like that people say it helps, that it can help joint issues in general. I hope you just caught that little pop as I tried to move my fingers, because that's exactly what it's supposed to help is the arthritis.
Yeah, you need some bee sting therapy. I'll make sure and do that to you today when you're not looking.
Excellent.
So the apitherapy places, they went and surveyed the people that work there because they therapize themselves.
Therapeutiate.
They self-therapeutiate themselves, and then also they talk to their clients or patients or whatever you would call them, and none of them had symptoms either of the ones that they looked at, and a couple of those patients actually lived in Wuhan. And so anyway, that's obviously anecdotal and needs to be tested further, but to have 0 out of all of those people is pretty impressive. Now, you brought up the fact that beekeepers are kind of not
antisocial anyway.
Antisocial, yeah.
We're kind of weird people.
Yeah. Well, that's for another discussion, but they might not be out and about and be exposed. But the article also said that some of them, it wasn't a high number, but a few of them, a handful, had family members that had contracted it and they had known exposure. That's the biggest thing I'd like to see is looking into that.
Yeah, it's something that's super, super interesting to me, and it is right now. It's what do we call it as correlative, not causative. I think that's the terms, where it's you can see 2 things that definitely are lining up, but you don't yet know if they actually play a factor into each other. And so that's kind of where the research is going now, is trying to find if there's something in there. There was also, that's a whole different subject. I'm just going to stop myself right there.
Well, the saying that I used to tell my students, and a lot of people say, is correlation is not causation.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Like the number of, so if you look at a chart of ice cream sales, it goes up at the same rate as murders throughout the year, but it's just because it's summertime.
Yeah, it's just because that's a perfect example of it, where 2 things are linked statistically as far as, increase or decrease, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually related whatsoever. Yeah.
So we are on a journey to kind of get back on track. We're on the I-17 heading south. It's going to be toasty.
Yeah, Yeah, it's probably going to be 100 degrees by the time we get down there. We left Flagstaff and it was 76, supposedly. It's now 85, and I bet it'll be 95 or 100 by the time we get down there. And it's funny because that's only, what's the sign here say? That's 8 miles away. Oh, wait. No, that's the wrong highway.
18 miles away.
18 miles away. So you can increase 15 degrees in this state just by driving 15 miles. And that is pretty much 15 miles downhill. So that's a thing. But, yeah.
Yeah, so what's the journey about today? What's the goal that we're looking at?
Mostly, I would say the goal, with fingers and toes crossed, is that we are going to be removing honey from this hive. It's been doing pretty well, but at the same time, we haven't been down here in at least 3 weeks, and that's not good because 3 weeks and the cycle of a bee is a very, very long time. We could have totally lost our hives in 3 weeks period.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's way too long to leave them without looking at them. Now, I'm not the most bestest beekeeper out there. The whole trying to run Drinking Horn at the same time makes it a little busy. There's some things that get in the way every now and then, like every few minutes. But I'm happy to sneak away today to get down there and do this. So that's what we're hoping, is that we're pulling honey off. It could be that we're going down and mitigating a crisis for all we know. But we're hoping that we go down there and the bees are nice and happy and making lots of honey, and we're able to pull some boxes off, pull some honey off, and add some new fresh empty boxes for them to start working on.
Nice, cool. Yeah, so fingers crossed. Oh, that's good. And when we left them last, when we were there last, there was, the trees were just in full bloom. They were starting to really get after it.
Yeah.
Those, you don't expect those to still be in bloom?
No, so everything that's in the orchard right there is not going to be in bloom. We're recording this like mid to end of June in 2020. We've had a really piss poor year for precipitation so far. I mean, we had a pretty good snow year, good snowpack, but we haven't had any rain in, 3 months, 4 months?
I don't even remember last time.
I really don't. Yeah, but that's the desert, Everybody else, you live in Seattle, you look up and you see that blue sky during the summertime and people like jump for joy. The rumor was always that like people in the Northwest got sun days. So it was like when the sun would come out, they would call a day off school so that people could go out and actually enjoy the sun and everything. That's what I heard. I think it's during a specific time of year. It might be like the fall semester or something like that. But that was always the rumor. I don't know that that's true. You all need to let us know. That could be some made up Evan shit.
But here we look up in the summertime and we would rather not see the blue skies.
No, I think we get 300 plus days of blue sky. I mean, there's smoke in the air right now from all the fires burning.
Yeah.
There isn't a cloud, not a single one.
Nope. Yeah, there are some fires burning, but so the orchard won't be in bloom, but there's probably plenty of other flowers?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones right now, actually we're driving past one right there, that's cat's claw. You can see the little yellow flowers that are on it that are blooming right now, and that should be doing really well for a long time here, for the next month or so. So its colloquial name, I guess you would say, is the cat's claw, and it's because that plant will tear you to shreds. It is very, very pokey. Obviously, the bees don't care because the spikes on this thing are just huge. Ooh, look, shiny Bentley.
Yeah, so the cat claw acacia, I've also heard it called wait a minute bush, because as you walk by it grabs you and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it snags into your clothing. Like, I'm pretty sure that ripstop pants were invented, like ripstop clothing was invented like for the Southwest.
I mean, it's a cat's claw. Like, the little thorns are hooked and curved.
Some of them are long, some of them are about, half an inch, 3/4 inch long. So they're significant terrors of the flesh. The only plant that I think is worse out here in the desert is the locust. You know the locust tree?
Yeah, New Mexican locust.
Yeah. Ooh.
I go through canyons a lot, and I love the area around canyons. I would have to disagree. I would have to say the worst one for me is the jumping cholla.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't like the cholla, and I fell into one as a kid, actually. Yeah, I was trying to play around on a wall that was all surrounded by cactus because it was exciting to do so. But I fell in. So it's anytime you have to have somebody, when it takes 6 hours and a pair of pliers to pull all the spines out of your back, you stop liking that plant so much, you know? It's, yeah, so not on my top favorite. I got left after one summer season in the field working for Fish and Wildlife. I got so torn up on the arms from locust, like I looked like some sort of a sword fighter out of a fantasy novel or something like that. Like it was rugged. I also didn't like wearing sleeves, so.
Yeah, locust is rugged, but you must have been in some thicket. Yeah, but we'll see a lot of the acacia. They've got these there's a couple different species of acacia here in the Sonoran Desert, but this one has the little puffballs. Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're like little puffballs, and they do pretty good for honey production this time of year. We'll get stuff, kind of wild stuff, blooming pretty much from now until August, September. And then it'll really depend as we get into August. It'll really start to depend on how much precipitation we're getting as to how much goes out, because plants don't always produce the same volume of nectar. Depending on, it can be time of day even, can change the amount. There's certain flowers that will only produce nectar in the morning. They're still producing pollen all day, but they only produce nectar in the morning. Nectar is very expensive for plants to produce, and so they try to time when they're producing it to maximize their own fecundity. So we'll see, but we should have pretty good flowers where these bees are at from now until possibly November, but we'll kind of see, because sometimes you get the next thing to really go up is the salt cedar. Unfortunately, it goes up. It does actually a decent amount of nectar on it.
The old tamarisk.
The old tamarisk. Yeah, nasty plant. Not a big fan of that one either, but at least it doesn't try to kill you. So it's a non-native out here that is pretty detrimental to other plants. They're actually pretty beneficial to some of the birds out here because they tend to make pretty great nesting homes.
The willow flycatcher.
Boom, boom, boom. Not boom. Ding, ding, ding. Sorry.
Boom, 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 boom.
Don't shoot that bird.
Boom, boom. Let me hear you say, ayo. Ayo. Boom, boom. Let me hear you say, ayo.
Ayo. I don't know the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay. Ayo. Boom, boom. So the salt cedar or the tamarisk will be blooming soon, and so they'll go after some of that.
Yeah,
that's right along the edge of that would be along the edge of the Verde River, isn't it? Is it found in other places besides right on the banks of water?
I don't think so. No. I don't think I've ever known it to be anywhere else but along the banks of rivers, streams, ponds, you name it.
Agua. Cool. So we're heading down. I can already feel the heat. Turn the AC off on the truck, so we couldn't get the noise on the mic, but that might change here pretty soon. You were talking about the flowers and depending on their blooming, or the plants and depending on their blooming and flowering. That's kind of cool. I just read an article that talked about research that's going on right now. They're looking at bumblebees, and what they'll do is if the flowers aren't coming out, if the plant isn't flowering soon enough for them, they will go and injure the leaves. They'll cut little holes in the leaves, which causes the plant to flower quicker. How rad is that?
That's really cool. We would do studies on stuff by mostly on oxygen intake and respiration on plants when I was in college, and that was one of the things you would do is you would mutilate this plant a little bit and see how it reacts and see how it changes its cycle. So that's really cool. The bee is on some level or another figured out and understood how to manipulate the plant into working for them.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. I didn't know you did that. So you're like a little Evan Bumblebee.
Yeah, I guess I don't look upon it quite as fondly as that. You always feel kind of bad torturing plants into seeing their reactions, but
all for science.
Science.
Cool. So all right, well let's turn the AC on. I'm starting to sweat a little bit, even though it's stupid. We should get used to it because we're going to be sweating so much.
We are. I'm going to leave it off. We're just going to keep sweltering away. It's 92 now since we were last talking about the temperature.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot one, but stick with us. Thanks for listening in to this Meadcast episode. I promise we will be talking more about bees and less about, I mean, it's cool stuff learning about plants and that kind of, ecosystem stuff.
They're important.
Yeah.
It's important. I'm not a big plant person myself, to be honest with you. Most of my extent of plants is around what I can eat and what will kill me. But like, it's really important, nothing functions in isolation. We have such a tendency in science to want to compartmentalize things. And to get a full understanding, you have to both have the compartmentalization component as well as like its functionality as a gear in a larger system.
Yeah, so we can work backwards. We're a meadery. We make mead. Mead is made from honey. Honey comes from bee digestion. Bees need to get the pollen and nectar to have that happen. That comes from a plant. Plants need a flower. We can go all the way backwards. It is all important. It is all encompassing. Hopefully you guys learned that as children, that we're all connected and everything's connected. And but all right, cool. Well, next stop, Camp Verde beehives. You got something else to say?
Nope. Oh. I'm excited for bees now. Now that we've been talking about it a little bit, dancing around the subject of bees, I'm ready.
We've been buzzing around the subject?
Yeah.
So we are suited up, or you're getting finished suiting up in the bee suit. It's warm, but we're embracing it, right?
Yeah, it's only like 100 degrees.
Yeah. Some people pay for hot yoga.
Yeah, and we'll be stretching.
A little bit, so it's you can
limits of our sanity. No, it should be pretty good. Yeah. We're gonna see just what's going on today. We're gonna bring a bunch of stuff over with us, and possibly have to schlep it all back. Like I said, it's been too long since we've seen this hive, so we don't actually know. We don't know what it's going to look like. Could look just fine, could look terrible. We could be crying and drinking the rest of the way through the afternoon. Or we could be celebrating and drinking and probably crying still because we got so much honey out of this hive. We'll see.
Nice. We could be leaving with pounds of honey. Now, I saw one bee, so I saw a tiny bit of activity. Well, I don't know if you call that activity or not, but and we're about, I'd say we're about 150 yards away from the beehive, maybe. And yeah, we'll see soon. The cicadas, you can hear them in the background.
The diesels.
Here comes the diesel truck. And all right, so T-minus a couple more minutes. And yeah, me holding this thing, it totally looks like a Geiger counter.
Yeah.
But we look like we're straight out of Stranger Things. T-minus a couple minutes, and we'll let you guys know how the hive looks.
I'm not turning off the air conditioning this time.
No, let the noise flow. Well, Evan.
It was good. I'm going to say overall a win. I didn't get any further into the hive than just the top box because it got too hot for me. But we got through the top box, which, I don't know, it took us 40 minutes or something, get through the top box, and we've got a whole deep box worth of honey, so probably 50, 60 pounds of honey.
All right, hold on. You're acting way too fucking chipper right now.
Yeah, putting on the face. That's called putting on the face.
Yeah, we don't have to. You can be comfortable here.
Well, that's good, because I just threw up from a little bit of heat exhaustion, but, it's okay.
That you're not making a metaphor or a hyperbole.
No. Just puked inside of the bee hood from heat exhaustion.
Dude, I was going to let you say it. I wasn't going to bring it up. Evan carried this 60-ish, give or take, 10 pounds, 60-ish pound, buzzing, stingy, heavy honey-packed box about 150 yards to the truck. I asked him a question halfway, and he goes, "Can't talk." And he's just going. And I go, "Can you set it down, take a break?" "No." And he just keeps going. And
then I get all the way to the back of the truck, set the honey box in the tailgate, and then walk about 2 steps away and puke in my hood. But I was leaning over when I did it. I'm a bit of a master when it comes to throwing up.
So, okay, first off, I heard the noise of you throwing up, and I immediately was concerned. I thought you got stung like 20 times, and that was your reaction.
No, I've been stung 20 times in a row before. Luckily, that is not my reaction. I just swell up and look beautiful.
So you're leaning over, you puke, and that.
And you have to help me out of my hood, holding the hair back.
Holding the hair, yeah, exactly.
Holding the hair.
This time I was holding your hood back, kind of. I unzipped you.
Yeah, it was pretty gross, right up against the screen there. Yeah. It's. I hope everyone learns from this, because I'm never sure that I will. So hopefully somebody else does.
That's good. Let's talk while this air conditioning, whatever, cools down and blasts. Give me 3 lessons for today.
If you're going to be working in the middle of the summer, make sure you get out early, because we're sitting here. It's just about noon right now. It's just too hot to be working. And you got to remember, we're in a state where it gets light at 4 o'clock in the morning, because we hate daylight savings time. And I think the second one is more hydration beforehand, for sure. So, operate at the proper time of day to be operating at. Make sure you bring plenty of water with you, as well as don't push it. Ask for help when you need help. And yeah, I was right there. Bring a cart. That's what we're going to do next time, is I'm going to bring a cart. Because I think we got more boxes of honey just out of this hive, but it's just too hot out there. It's too hot to be working right now.
Yeah. So one of my lessons I want to add as a digital media creator, whatever. That sounded really fancy. Basically, me filming and taking pictures. If you're going to work hives, maybe get a third person to do that, or just I stickified the camera. I stickified my camera. I'm not going to say I messed it up, but we'll see.
We'll goof off.
Propolis, and it's not honey. It's propolis.
Yeah.
Or propolis.
Propolis. I don't know. Yeah.
Metropolis, we jump up and we hip hopadis. Bees are buzzing.
Have a rockin' ripe and hippopotamus.
Hip-hop anonymous. The propolis. As I'm talking, I can feel the moisture just being done in my.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time with my words.
Let's stop this recording and get some water. All right. So nice and relaxing time in West Clear Creek after. It's kind of tradition, right?
Yeah, especially on when we do something dumb like work bees in the middle of it's 104 out is what it is. 104, yeah, middle of June, down in the Verde Valley. Still beautiful. We're looking off to the left. There's the cottonwoods and the Fremont sycamores. Nice and relaxed now. Got in the water, did a little fishing. Man, you were 2 for 2, your first 2 casts. Right, and then I didn't catch anything after that. But, it works out that way sometimes. You caught a refreshment. Yeah, I caught a refreshment. Caught a crayfish creeping up on me. Yeah, those crayfish were pretty big. We gotta come out and have a boil. Yeah. Invasive species. I don't feel bad about cooking them up. No, not at all. Invasive out here. It's funny because there's places where they're trying to keep the crayfish right now because they're losing them. And out here, they're a nuisance species. So I say eat them all. Yeah, eat them all. They outcompete for some species. They also, I've heard this, I don't know how true this is, but that the black hawks that we have that roam around will eat them, and they're nutritionally pretty terrible for birds of prey. Huh. And so they'll sit there and they'll eat them, and they're not very nutritional for them. So they outcompete like your Trichoptera, Plecoptera, all your like bugs that normally live in a river system under the rocks in there. They eat the same stuff that those guys do. So they do definitely like food compete in that way, because the trout and the bass, whatever's in the water, would normally be eating those little bugs that are hiding under the rocks and stuff. And with crayfish taking up all of the available nutrients, all of the fish we caught today were giants. On opposite day. Yeah, they're little tiny fish. Partly that's just high fishing pressure in Arizona at anywhere there's water. And the other part is that there's not a ton of food for them in there because the crayfish have a stranglehold on all the nutrients. Yeah, we're trying not to have them have a stranglehold on our toes. Yeah, they can get a little pinchy sometimes. They've got a lot of gall in the rivers around here. A lot of gall. A whole lot of gall. So it was nice to relax though after working the bees, because it got pretty hot there. Yeah, as we heard earlier. Yeah, it got a little warm. So just wanted to debrief a little bit. Just kind of what we saw, what we learned, and then what are some next steps. So what were some major things that stick out in your head about this trip, besides the heat? Yeah, besides the heat, they're doing great. So right now, even without having any sort of water, I mean, they have water sources relatively close, so the bees are not thirsty at this location. But they also seem to have a whole lot of food. They're stockpiling honey like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? We could have possibly taken a whole nother box with us today, but it's never a bad idea to leave them with a lot of honey either. One of these days, like our excluder is currently on top of our third box in that hive, and we should bring it down a little bit more.
So by doing that, you would make available 2 boxes for honey and 2 boxes for brood.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And that way you'd have, I mean, because all the brew boxes will still have a little bit of honey kind of around the edges, you know what I mean? Or sometimes it's the brood around the edges, but they tend to mix them in those boxes.
So I'm just sorry to interrupt, but some of the listeners out there might not know what we're saying when we say brood, B-R-O-O-D. What are we talking about?
We do a lot of brood, don't we? Whether it's brood mead or we have bee brood. And bee brood is just a term that's used for them when they're in their larval stage.
Little babies.
Little worm babies. They don't have wings or anything. They're just this little white, I mean, they look like
Grubs.
Yeah, it's a little grub.
Like maggots?
I was going to avoid the maggot word. I paused for a little while, but yeah, maggots. They definitely look very much like that.
There's a lot of insects that do that. I mean, every beetle that you see started out as looking like a little maggot grub.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think I might have started out like a grub.
Cool. So what stood out to you is that they're doing really well. We were a little bit concerned. Interested to see what we were going to come upon, but they're doing well. They got a lot of honey. They seem to be very responsive.
Yeah, and they were really, really, like, you can tell the attitude of that hive specifically, because like when they are not producing honey, they are so angry. so angry.
But it's different this time.
Yeah, we didn't even have any clinging to us, you know. I didn't even think I was getting dive bombed at all. They really didn't care at all, basically, that we were in there. We were just kind of, I'm in your space, bees, don't mind us.
Yeah, I noticed that as a difference. Absolutely. I was a little worried as I'd go down there to take a few photos down by the entrance at the bottom, and usually when I do that, they kind of like all come out and, you know, check me out and check out the camera as soon as I turn on. But yeah, it was very calm.
Yeah, very calm today, so that's good. Which, like I said, it's also, you know, most likely, that's not everything's always related, but that generally means that the hive is doing pretty well when they're not super angry. It certainly means that they're not short on food right now. So they're doing pretty good. And then we dropped a couple more boxes on top of it. So you take off a box and add a box, basically, right? And we added 2 boxes. We took off 1 box and added 2 boxes. And with any luck, we can come back down in about 3 weeks again and pull off another 80 or 100 pounds out of those 2 boxes.
So total above the excluder now, there's 2 boxes?
Yep. Yeah, 2 boxes now above the excluder.
Now,
wait, no, I'm wrong. We have 1 big one. We have 1 deep box, which is like the 10-inch deep, and then we have 2 supers, is what people call them, and those are like the skinnier ones. They're easier to separate the comb out from the honey and everything with those, because they fit in the big machine that our honey guy has.
Okay, we should make an episode strictly talking about the bee boxes and the different styles, and because I don't know what you're talking about right now, but I don't necessarily want an explanation right now. This is just a trip, but so we've got the potential for more honey next time we come back.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of potential for more honey, and it looks like they're doing pretty well. We weren't able to split this hive at the beginning of the year, which I was really hoping to do, but things got kind of weird. So
slightly with Corona, is that what you're talking
about? Yeah, Corona, and then try
the mead hall,
build out the mead hall, everything.
So is it
next year?
Okay, so there's a specific time. If you want to turn 1 hive into 2, you need to do that at a specific time of year.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's probably folks that would disagree with me on that, but like I tend to think that summertime or springtime or early spring is the best time to do it, and that probably also depends on what your flower availability is around you. For us, some of the best flowers are in the springtime, and so we kind of need to get them split so that they have enough time to be as healthy as absolutely possible before you get into the days of lean. And
so cool. So I look forward to that next year or next spring or whenever, just to learn another process and continue to I don't know, work these bees and learn from you and learn from the process and all this stuff. So hopefully everyone out there is enjoying learning about bees too. If anyone out there deals with bees, let us know. I'd love to have you on for an episode if you either, rear your own bees. What would you say?
I say rear.
Keep?
It's like husbandry.
Yeah. Rear your own bees, or know someone who does or anything like that. I don't know. Just hit us up. We like having the conversation. So heading back up the hill, back to Flagstaff. It'll feel that much nicer and cooler up there now.
Yeah, it is now 107 down here, so it'll be nice to. I bet it's not even 90 degrees back in Flagstaff.
Oh, I hope not.
I hope not.
Cool. Well, another successful trip. A little bit of mead, a little bit of river, and a whole lot of bees. So look forward to more episodes from the Bee Boys.
All B-boys coming at you.
Ooh, 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 ooh.